Welcome to another exciting episode of Rogue Finances and Life, where we are life and financially sound. Today, I have a guest, Mr. Yanis. He is a ministry coach. Yanis has over 20 years of consulting, training, and coaching experience with both the nonprofit and business worlds. He is a regular subject matter expert, guest on podcasts focused on ministry, leadership, business, and communications. He spent over a decade traveling as a preacher and keynote public speaker. Yanis has successfully co-led multiple profits and business, including nonprofits and business that he started and that he currently owns. His leadership roles have expanded from startups and churches to Fortune 200 based organizations. He's also has included the title of president, owner, senior pastor, regional sales coordinator, director of operations, state training coordinator, and performance coach. So without any further ado, here's Mr. Yanis.
Jesus, I gotta tell you, I hate when I hear that list. Yes, I've done a lot. I've accomplished a lot. I don't know. I hate having to tell people all that just so that they'll trust what I say. I mean, I get it. And my wife's like, people need to know. But it's true. You know, I've spent the last 20 plus 25 years working with leaders and being a leader. And there's no way that that's not going to touch finances, right? Leadership and finances go hand in hand, which
Exactly.
tends to be a problem that most leaders don't realize. But that's what I've done. I've helped a lot of organizations drive success. I have had meetings and coached, candidly, some of the biggest organizations in the world. So I'm here today to bring some benefit to your audience and to help them at whatever level they're at reach the milestones and the goals that they're trying to do.
Well, thank you. Thank you for your time.
Absolutely.
So principles to being successful and whether in ministry or in business. So, Mr. Yanis, what should a leader do when they get stuck?
Yeah, so I want to start with what they shouldn't do. And what they shouldn't do is go back to what they did before, because problems are different. What they shouldn't do is try and do it yourself. Just, hey, let's start tearing it apart and see what we can do to fix it. That might work when you're pulling out a sink. That might work when you're changing a toilet. But when you're leading an organization, and you have people who are depending on you to get this right and get it right the first time, when you get stuck, get help, right? In business, we don't want to get help. But if your car's stuck on the side of the road, you're not sitting there going, well, I don't know what to do. Let's start pulling the engine apart and see what happens. No, you don't do that. You call a tow truck to come in. This is why the Bible talks about that pride comes before destruction and a haughty spirit before a fall. Because one of the biggest problems that leaders make is when they get stuck, they don't reach out for help. They don't call the AAA. Well, what does that mean? If it's a financial problem, call a bookkeeper. If it's a leadership problem, call somebody. Well, what if I don't know what it is? All right, then call somebody who's all around. This is why I do coaching. There's a lot of times where I'll talk with somebody and they've got a handful of problems. And in fact, I was talking with somebody the other day and they said, oh, well, in our business, we have a process problem. I said, tell me about your process problem. So they started telling me, I said, you don't have a process problem. You have a personnel problem. Right? Why? Because diagnosing the problem is the key to the cure. Look, if I got diagnosed with cancer, I would probably be the first person to start a chemotherapy treatment. But if I get diagnosed with a heart arrhythmia, the worst thing you could do is give me a chemotherapy treatment. So it's really, and that's one of the ways that you diagnose good help is, are they diagnosing you properly? Right? So, hey, I'm stuck and I don't know what to do. And you call the tow truck service and they come out with a shuttle. And you're going, no, I need you to tow my car. Oh, but we're here with the shuttle. We'll take you wherever you want to go. Well, that's good, but I need you to tow my car. You've called the wrong person. You need the tow truck driver, right? And it's the same thing spiritually. You start from this place of humility and go, God, I don't know what I feel stuck. Will you bring somebody along? And so if you're watching this video right now and you've been feeling stuck in your leadership, stuck in your ministry, stuck in your business, stuck in your finances, then maybe the answer to your prayer is that you're watching this video and you can reach out to myself or Jesus and say, look, we need some help here.
Exactly. Amen to that. So
did that answer your question?
Yeah, definitely. That definitely answered my question. So now when you talk about so what would be the difference between a leader and a manager?
So and Jesus, correct me if I'm wrong, but this show and its audience has a financial component to it, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I want to make sure that I intertwine that into it. A leader is someone who is focused on the overall outcome, not just on what happens each day, right? So if you're a leader, then your job is to sit back and determine that outcome and then get your group or where you're going or your people moving in that direction to achieve the outcome. It's the long-term outcome. The leader is always looking at the long-term outcome. A manager, now you can have a leader who does both or a manager who does both. A manager is making sure that the people do what needs to be done that day. And maybe they're looking at a shorter outcome, right? So sometimes leaders manage, sometimes managers lead. But that's the big difference. A leader is always looking, okay, what's the outcome? What's the outcome for my business? What's the outcome for my ministry, right? And maybe it's X growth or this amount of money. Okay, great. And then a leader starts to pull back and say, okay, how do I get there? And moves everybody in these big chunks. A manager then takes those big chunks and goes, how do I get my team to go from here to here today? And then tomorrow from here to here, right? And so a leader leads people in the big, a manager often leads people in the small, but it's really more a focus on building and understanding the destination. It's the same thing with finances. Money is a tool to get to where you need to go, right? A leader is going to look at money and say, how can I use this to reach the end goal? Okay, but Yanni, what if the end goal is money? You still need money to make money. So if the end goal is your business having X amount of profit, I want a 10X profit in the next year. Okay, then let's back that up. What's the milestone to the goal? How much profit do you need to make in the next 3 months? Oh, okay. I need a 2X profit in the next quarter. Wonderful. That's still leadership. And then leaders say, what do we need to do to have that growth? We need to do this, 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 and this. So in the coming weeks, these are the things that need to get accomplished. That's all leadership because it's pointing at that goal. A manager comes in and says, okay, everybody, the leader has told us to do this, 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 and this today. Maybe I know why as the manager, maybe I don't, but I'm going to make sure that you do those things. And too often time leaders get stuck as managers. And why that's a problem is because nobody drives their car with their head down. But that's the role of a manager, right? A manager is head down, focused on the people. Okay, did you do this today? Did you make those calls today? Did you do, right? And that's fine. Because every once in a while, as you're driving your car, you'll look down and change the station on the radio, and you'll look. And for those of you that are solopreneurs, or maybe you've got one or two employees, you're going to spend a lot of time managing, and that's okay. But you're going to have to get back into leadership mode. And where a lot of leaders go wrong is they get so focused on managing, sometimes because they're great managers, they don't lead well, and all of a sudden that car goes driving off the edge. Another thing that a coach does is helps a leader get out of managing long enough to look around and go, okay, whoa, where am I going? Right, I'm going this way. You have to do the same thing with money. You have to track it. You have to keep it so that it's a tool that can further you. Time is the same way. Resources, employees, it's all the same thing. A manager manages what they're doing that day, whether it's time, employees, resources. A leader is looking at the end result.
So would it be almost like the leader will be like the captain of the ship, and the managers will be all the officers that he has to manage the crew?
That's right. That's exactly right. And again, sometimes the captain has to manage the officers. Yeah. Sometimes the captain doesn't have any officers, so the captain has to manage the crew. But I can't tell you how many times in business and ministry I've seen those captains just head down.
Exactly. So now,
yeah, go ahead.
So have you ever heard of the term micromanaging, and what do you think about that?
Micromanaging is really interesting because it actually comes back to pride. When someone is a micromanager, it means that not only do they think that they're the only ones who can do it, but the only way that somebody else can do it is to do it exactly the way they do. Right? So I have a paintbrush and I'm going to paint the fence. Okay. I can tell 100 people to go paint my fence. That, by the way, is not managing, or is not leadership, it's managing. If I'm a leader and I'm going to look at the fence and I'm going to go, I need to restore my fence. And I'm going to take a step back and I'm going to look at all the things that need to be done to restore the fence. And I'm going to break them down into milestones. And then I'm going to assign those things to different managers. Hey, I need you and your crew to fix the fence. I need you and your crew to prime the fence. I need you and your crew to paint the fence. Why? Because as a leader, I'm totally focused on a fully beautiful, restored fence. Now, I can micromanage from a leadership level. I can come in and be like, dude, what are you doing? I wanted you to fix the fence. Yeah, I'm fixing the fence. No, let me show you how you lead your team to fix the fence. You have every person working on their own board. No. I want it in an assembly line. I want it in there. Okay. Well, Yanni, isn't that process? It can be. But if you're sitting there as the lead, you shouldn't care. As long as the fence gets fixed with the quality that you want and looks the way you want, what does it matter how that leader decides to manage the team to get there? Now, what if instead of managers, you just have individuals? Okay, I want you fixing the fence and you priming the fence and you painting the fence, because I have other leadership things I need to do, and I need you to, this will fix the fence. A micromanager will come in and go, okay, here's how I want you to fix the fence. I'm going to show you. Okay, great. And then a micromanager will sit there. Oh, no, that's not how I told you. Nope, it's not how I told you. No, you got to do it exactly the way. Nobody wants, the micromanager is the leader most of the time because they don't want to be managed by somebody who manages like they do. It's
Exactly.
awful, right? Nobody wants to do that. So a good manager is going to go, let me train you on how to do this. Okay, do you have it? I have it. Great. Now go do it. And they're not going to inspect the process as much as the result, because every single person is going to adapt the training to fit a better way. And so that's fine. If this person wants to have nails in their hand on one side and the hammer, and they can get, okay, and this other person wants nails in the, it doesn't matter. As long as that fence board gets put up, that's what matters.
Exactly. You're right.
Right? So micromanaging is do it my way, exactly as I would all the time. Managing is here's how we do it. Now get to the end result. And leadership says, great, get to the end result so that we can achieve the goal.
Exactly. Amen to that. Yeah, not, a lot of times, like even nowadays with my day job, I find a lot of people that get into leadership positions and they wanna. It's like they wanna tell you what to do, or they wanna assign you a job for you to do, but at the same time, they want you to do exactly. And I was like, wait a minute, either you're gonna be my leader, or you're gonna be the one doing the job, but you can't, because obviously I'm trained to do my job. Just give me my task. Let me do it the best with my training.
And that's a really interesting statement, right? Because so far to this point, I've been talking about people who are untrained. If you're hiring people who are trained to do their job, then what you need to tell them is how any nuances where you do it differently. We call it culture. Hey, you're now a dental hygienist. You're trained to do your job. Okay, but now at our dental practice, we report what's going on with this computer system. So I'm going to train you on this computer system. And this is how you find your next patient. This is how you schedule, right? You're not training them on how to clean teeth. You're training them on how to use your internal systems and how your culture works. That's great. A micromanager would go, okay, now I'm going to train you on teeth. And you're like, no, I'm certified. I'm a certified dental hygienist. I know, but I want you to do it my way. That's a micromanager.
Exactly.
A manager says, hey, are you cleaning teeth? Yeah, I'm cleaning teeth. Are the customers happy? Yeah, customers are happy. Good. Keep cleaning teeth and making the customers happy. But a manager may say, but hey, I need you fitting in with our systems that wrap around the job that you're doing. That's fine. But again, train them and then let them go. You know how, watch this. If you lead people and you never want to hear their ideas of how to make the system better, you're a micromanager.
Exactly.
If you lead people and you welcome them making the systems better, then you're either a manager or a leader. Now watch this. If you lead people and you welcome people making the systems better, but not necessarily the outcome or the direction of those systems, you're probably a manager. If you lead people and you welcome people giving you feedback on the course and the direction of where this whole thing is going, then you're probably a leader.
That's true.
Because leaders are focused on the direction. Managers are focused on the operation.
That's true. Yeah.
Right? The leader is looking at the GPS. The manager is looking at the gauges. and the micromanager is looking at the driver.
Yeah. One of the things that I have seen fascinated with my line of work as an inspector is the um, supervisors. Like I'm a paint inspector, so supervisors, they have hourly workers who work for them, and their job is to manage the completion of a process. And then I come in and inspect that process. So what I have found fascinating, that a lot of times the supervisors will not take suggestions for the hourly workers, but then I come in as an inspector, which is I'm still an hourly worker, just an inspector, and I will come up with a suggestion, and they will, and it's probably the same suggestion that they're hourly, and they'll take it from me. I'm like, what? Your hourly just told you the same thing, but okay, but so now you looking at me because I'm an inspector.
And the problem with that is, again, it comes back to pride. Those are the people who, when they get stuck, they're going to try and do it on their own. They're going to try and figure it out. When all the while, the people who actually have the suggestions or the solutions, they're not listening to.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that doesn't mean that every suggestion is good. But if you're a leader, you're looking at every single person and going, hey, this is what's needed. Give me that feedback, because you know it's inevitable that that's going to happen.
Exactly.
So, and when you look at this from a biblical perspective, the best leaders are the best followers of Christ.
Yes, sir.
And so as you understand that you're following, lead in the way that you want to be led, right? That's the golden rule. Treat others the way you want to be treated. So how do you want to be led? You want somebody of integrity who's showing you what is being done, who's open to your feedback, who's letting you run with the job that you have. Then if that's how you want to be led, then lead that way. And fulfill the law of Christ by loving one another in the way that you want to be loved. And if you treat people in this way, what's amazing to me is how much farther they will go. You will know that you're winning as a leader or even a manager when they come to you and you're amazed by their ideas. Oh, that's an incredible idea. Yeah, let's do that. Because if you've gathered around you a bunch of humans who all never have the right idea, that's actually more a reflection of your poor leadership than it is of them. You get 5 humans in a room, someone is going to come up with a great idea.
Exactly. You're right. So okay. Now, would you say, right, that a person that is so much focused and over manages, right, can lead to burnout? So what are the signs of burnout and what to do about it?
So burnout's really interesting. I'll give you a couple of the initial signs. Friday night or Friday afternoon, you clock out and you respond as if you just got released from jail, or it's part of a work release program. Like you feel free, you feel liberated. That's a sign of burnout. Sunday night, and you have the Sunday dread coming on you, and it's back to the grind, back to prison, back to the jail. That's burnout. 100%. It's the early stages. And I mean, there's a number of places just like that where you ever catch yourself daydreaming of anything while you're at work, of anything else but work?
All the time.
Right. It's a sign of burnout. So the first stage of burnout is when those things are happening every once in a while. Every once in a while, you're like, you've blown. Some of you may be watching this on YouTube right now at work, and you're like, oh yeah, I was just going to catch a minute of it. Okay. When it happens sporadically, that's stage 1 of burnout. When what I'm talking about is your constant life, that's stage 2 of burnout. And again, I could go into a bunch of other signs. On our website, grotzllc.com, we have a whole thing about burnout, and it goes through the different stages. Stage 3 is like you're bitter. You're done. You're bitter. And stage 4 is you're leaving. Or you're staying. Stage 4 is literally a question. Do you leave or stay? And if you stay, don't think that you go to 0 with no burnout or stage 1. You just simply go back to stage 3 where you're an angry, bitter person. If you stay, you need a coach or somebody to walk you back through and change the poor habits that have gotten you to the place of burnout. If you go, you still are going to carry burnout with you until you handle it the right way. You'll get into your new job, and it's amazing how quickly burnout will come because you never actually resolved it from your old job.
Oh, that makes sense. So, so what does vision matter, and what problems does a lack of clear vision creates?
Well, one of them is burnout. Right? Because people don't know. People don't know what they're supposed to do. They don't know what they don't know. But if you vision, like I said, it's back to the GPS. Nobody gets in a car and aimlessly drives. Well, Yanni, sometimes we just go out for a nice drive. Okay, but you still have an idea of where you want to go.
Exactly.
But if you get in the car and just drive, well, where do you want to go? I don't know. I want to go nowhere. Well, you'll go nowhere every time. Every time you see, in order for a GPS to work, it has to have 2 things. My kiddo. It has to have the start location and the end location. It doesn't work if it only has a start location. Vision is the end location for what you're leading, for your organization, for your team. And the only way to plot the course of how to get from where you are to where you're supposed to be is to have vision, to have the end location. Now, if you don't know what that's supposed to be, you need a coach. If you know what that's supposed to be, but you don't know how to plot the map from here to here, you need a coach. Those are all sticking points. It's where you get stuck. If you're burnt out, that's a sticking point. You need a coach. If you're micromanaging and no one's coming to you with ideas, you need a coach. All of these things are sticking points. You haven't excelled. You haven't done it. The leadership isn't there. Culture isn't there. People don't know what. I can go through the longest list of sticking points that people keep trying to suffer through and fix on their own. Vision gets everybody on the same page.
Amen to that.
Have you ever caravanned with a group of cars?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, guess what? It doesn't work unless everybody knows where you're going.
Yes, sir. You're right.
Right? How do I know if I'm going to take this highway versus this freeway versus this back road? Okay. Vision says, hey, this is where we're going. And then a leader says, here's the general course that we're going. Let's go, guys. Now, think about this. I told you, don't be a leader that you wouldn't want to follow. That's not biblical. It's not smart. Okay. So would you want to follow somebody who has no idea where they're going?
Oh no, no way.
That's madness.
Mm-hmm.
But are you that kind of leader? And I'm not talking to you,
Yeah.
Jesus. I'm talking about to everybody else's, right? Are you that kind of leader? And so, I think that's one of the most important things is for a lot of people, if they'll just sit back, who's really good at this? Ask your spouse. Hey, am I a leader that people would want to follow? Oh, well, it's my spouse. Of course, my spouse will tell me yes. You'd be surprised.
You know who says it best? Paul. Paul says, "Follow me as I follow Christ."
Exactly right. That's exactly right. And look, to this day, we still follow Christ through the example of Paul.
Exactly.
Paul was a phenomenal leader. Well, why does this matter? Because if you're not leading well, then money becomes an end game instead of a tool. Well, but my business is to make more money. But for what reason? To provide for your family, to provide for other families? It's a different why. If money is the totality of the end game, you've missed it.
Exactly.
And you've missed your calling. But if you don't understand vision and where you're trying to go, it can quickly become that, or success, or any of these other things that are missing the mark of what you're supposed to be doing, what you're called to be doing. So let's come all the way full circle to the very beginning of this. If you're stuck, don't stay stuck.
The other thing that we can also say about vision, it will be pretty much like the difference between goals and dreams. If if it's in your head only, it's just a dream. But when you write it down and you have a date on achieving it, then it becomes a goal.
Yes. And I think, let me, because that begs a question. What's the difference between goals and vision? Goals are moments of achievement that you want to achieve.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Vision is the state of being that achieving those goals creates. So what'd you say?
Would it be the total achievement of those goals?
Yeah, it's the net sum. Without vision, you could be running down the wrong set of goals.
That's true.
And because when you drive somewhere, you're going to get somewhere. It just may not be where you want to go. I can't tell you how many people who have these goals. And then when I start kind of talking them through their vision, the goals are over here and the vision's over here, and they're going this way. Because they had never really identified their vision until I sucked it out of them. And now they realize that their goals need to take them the other direction. Their vision is taking them the other direction from their goals. So if your vision is to stand on the podium at number one in the Olympics, then you have lots of goals, but isn't that the goal? No, that's the vision. That's the nut sum, the end goal. But it's not the goals that take you to that vision.
That almost like if you compare it to like a football game. The end goal will be to score a touchdown, but the little goals is to get first downs until you can score a touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's exactly it. Every touchdown, well, I shouldn't say every touchdown, but so many touchdowns are the result of first downs, right? And so the goal is but ultimately, what's the goal? It's not even touchdowns. It's winning the game.
Winning the game, yes.
Right? The goal of the football game is to win the game. And so, and to say, yep, I won the game of the Super Bowl and hold up the Lombardi trophy. That's the goal. This is amazing. How do you do that? You score the most touchdowns. That's the goal. Well, how do you do that? Well, you get the most first downs. And you manage the ball well, you manage the clock well. These are all different goals that get you to the point of winning the game and but that moment of holding the Lombardi trophy, that's the vision. Yes. It's not even scoring touchdowns.
Exactly. It's winning, yeah, definitely winning the game. But you have to, in order to win the game, you have to achieve all the little goals so they can get you to that ultimate goal, which is the vision.
That's exactly right. And here's what happens. In a football game, the clock runs out and there's a winner and a loser. And then that team that lost, they come back the next week and they try again. In business, when you lose, in ministry, when you lose, it affects people's lives. Mm-hmm. And so if you're not getting first downs If you're not growing, if you're not succeeding, what a lot of people do is they just keep trying. Or you know what they do? They look at, oh, you know what that guy's doing? Oh, that guy's doing running plays. I'm going to do running plays too. Okay, well, that guy has an offensive line that's massive. My 5-year-old could run through that offensive line and make first downs. You don't have that offensive line, but this is what we do. We go, oh, well, that's successful over there. I should do more running plays. Ooh, this isn't working. Okay, so not running plays with that guy. Oh, they're doing trick plays. I should do trick plays. And we do this thing because we don't actually know why they're doing what they're doing. We don't know, is it their vision the same as mine? Maybe, but maybe their goals are different.
Exactly.
Right? Maybe they think they can win the game with one big pass or a bunch of trick plays. And these guys are here saying, no, we're going to win the game through just ground and pound hard work. And maybe they're both right because that's how the staff that they have is built. That's the resources that they have. This is where people make a mistake. You've got to curtail your leadership to what's in front of you.
Exactly.
And when you don't do these things, it causes burnout. When you don't do these things, it causes micromanagement. When you don't do these things, it causes all the sticking points. So if you're like, Yanni, I'm more confused now than when this started, than when I tuned into this, that is a sticking point. And if you're in the audience, you need a coach. Look, it's really not difficult except to come to the decision, hey, I need some help. Jesus, I just want to say thank you so much
Thank you. Definitely.
For having me on and for clarifying how to pronounce your name. I appreciate that. People look at my name and let me tell you, it gets bad how they pronounce it. No, my name is not pronounced Ioannis. It's Yanni. And so, Jesus, thank you for letting me know how your name is pronounced. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you for being available. And I know for sure this is going to bless so many people, so many listeners, so many audience.
Well, I deeply appreciate you saying that. And if any of your audience wants to connect with me further, our website is gratzllc.com, GRATSLLC.com. You'll know it because you'll see this face.
And which I will put it on the description below.
Perfect. And you can, and by the way, there is hours of trainings like this on our website that's totally free. It's not even gate protected. You know, sometimes you have to enter your email address and accidentally sign up for a newsletter. It's none of that. There's hours of free training covering all sorts of topics, everything that we've talked about today on our website. So if you're watching this, please, there's so much more there. Go and enjoy. Hopefully something here was helpful for you.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for being available. Like I said, this will bless somebody. And from Giannis and I, continue to be blessed until we see you next time. Just let's all learn and take over the world.